Hey, greetings. Welcome to the first episode of the Real Man, Real Leaders podcast, a podcast about youth leadership that began right here in Garden City, Kansas. My name's Reynaldo Mesa. I'm the executive director of Real Man, Real Leaders, an organization that started about 14 years ago. But really in the last 3 or 4 years, we've transitioned into a leadership program. And here to talk to me more about Real Man, Real Leaders is a colleague of ours, Reynaldo Mesa, who actually takes care of our social media, technology within the office. He does a variety of things. And he really puts us out there, gives us great exposure. And just like this podcast, you know, we're right here in this studio. So I appreciate Edgar allowing us to produce these podcasts. And there's going to be plenty more coming. Just a little bit about Real Men, Real Leaders. As I said, it started about 14 years ago. And really, a friend of mine that I grew up with, Tim Cruz, I've known him since I was 5 years old. We went to school at Buffalo Jones. He lived right across the street. And and we went to school all the way through high school together. And also served on the city commission together as well. But we've been talking for some time and with other men in the community about how we can be part of a solution to what was going on. There was high teen pregnancy amongst the girls. There's a high dropout rate. Many of our boys were getting involved with gangs. Just a lot of bad stuff going on and still goes on to a certain extent today. So we need to be a part of the solution and not just leave it up to law enforcement, teachers, counselors, parents, and so forth. You know, just because it's not my child doesn't mean that I shouldn't care about these other children that are growing up here in our community. And so Tim ran across an organization called Real Men, Real Heroes out of Wichita. And that's kind of what started it. And Tim came back home and we talked and then we got other gentlemen involved within the community, and before you know it, we started Real Man, Real Leaders. At that time, it was a different name. We had heroes in the name, and not leaders.
Gotcha.
But we shifted because of the fact that we started a leadership program for our young boys. And really, in a nutshell, it's a program that introduces leadership concepts to our 5th and 6th grade male youth within the school district that revolved around organization and leadership, literacy and communication, wellness, personal management, family, and citizenship. That was for the 5th graders. For the 6th graders, they work on public, private, social, and government. Those are the 4 core values for the 6th graders. So it's a program that we just don't meet. Okay, we actually conduct a class. We introduce them to a variety of leaders in the community and opportunities as well. And we're going to have many of those folks, you know, we're going to interview many of those folks here, as well as the students. More importantly, the students. We want them to tell you their story. Okay, because to be honest with you, Edgar, you know, we're the only youth leadership at this age, at this grade level, I believe, throughout the state of Kansas. And there's a lot of people interested in what we're doing. We get a lot of support. You know, we've had over 200 boys go through our program. Yeah. So the other piece that we do is not just the program itself, but it's the volunteer.
Yeah, that's an awesome part of the program.
Yeah, and so we've had over 200 boys involved that now a lot of these boys, we call them our alumni, come back. When we call them, they're ready to volunteer. We could be at 2 or 3 places at any given time. So that's what makes it special. We try to teach these boys that through servant leadership, that's how you can become a true leader. And we also use the Kansas Leadership Center motto, if you will, that leadership is not necessarily a position, it's taking action. Mm-hmm. It's taking action.
Yeah. And, one of the things I love about, the kids getting involved in the community, whether it's, volunteering for individuals or volunteering for events within Garden City, it's also, the leaders that guide them.
Correct.
Having Jonas and Tim, just getting to know them and just the short time that I've been involved with Real Men, Real Leaders. Obviously, one of my children was, has been in the program for quite some time now, and now he's an alumni. Now he comes back and does volunteer work. But being able to see the relationship that, both Tim and Jonas have with the boys, I think it's really cool to have, gentlemen like them that are, such good leaders. And are just blend so well with the boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Edgar's talking about our staff. We've got a great staff. We have Jonas Cruz, our program director, does an awesome job with the boys. He's the one that puts together the programming, the volunteering, and we all participate, as a team. But Jonas is a sweetheart of a guy. The boys love him. Okay. And by his side is Tim Sperry. Tim Sperry is his assistant. And our office administrator is Linda Lanston. She does a wonderful job of keeping me straight in the office. And then we have Dr. Marcia Wynn, who is our community developer. And now Edgar, hopefully, is going to be a part of that piece as far as operations go. And the technology side of things, social media, and also Derek Cruz. Derek Cruz is Jonas's son, and Derek's actually been involved with this since the get-go.
Yeah.
So
if you go far enough in the Facebook page, you'll see him as a young man.
And so he's been with us, and he's been instrumental because he's done some analysis for us, and kind of a dig deep analysis for us on our personnel, where we're at, and where we, what we need to have in place in order to get where we want to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's done a tremendous job with that. And so we're really working towards producing a model that we could take, across the state and possibly, throughout, to other states. Okay. I personally believe our children are under attack. I'm going to be quite honest with you. Both our girls and boys, and many of these boys, not many, but some, and I would imagine girls, come from single parent families, okay? And these parents need help, whether it's a father or mother. In some instances, we've had boys where both parents have they're not there for whatever reason, okay? And we try to step in and fill that void just for a little bit of time, okay, throughout the week and throughout the school year.
Yeah, and also you have parents that are both in the household, but a lot of times with the way that finances are nowadays, both parents have to work, sometimes multiple jobs, and it's nice to have a program like this one where like for instance, Jonas comes and picks up my son sometimes, but for the 5th and 6th grade boys, they take them out after school to do volunteer work and things like that. And so, while their parents are working, sometimes it's, Jonas and Tim are out there, teaching the boys a lot of the stuff that just isn't around due to either their parents being absent or their parents being, too busy. So, there's just a lot of situations where I believe Real Men, Real Leaders is crucial to the upbringing of the young boys.
Yeah, and today, a little bit different than when I was growing up, and maybe a little bit different with you, Edgar. There's a lot of bad stuff competing for our kids' attention. Yeah. Okay, especially with social media, and you know that business because you're in it.
Yeah.
And social media can be used for good or it can be used for bad.
Yeah.
But so we have to win back our kids somehow, some way, and get them to think of making better decisions as they go about their lives and their educational careers. Some will go on to college, some won't. Some will go to technical school, college or 2-year, and that's fine. Okay, some of them just may want to go to work.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things about Real Men, Real Leaders. It's not necessarily teaching everyone to be that you have to be an owner, or you have to be, you have to be
president of a company, or
it's
bank president.
There's different stages of leadership,
right?
And it doesn't necessarily you don't have to be at the top of the food chain. So you can be a leader in a small group, within your own home.
Absolutely.
Within your classroom,
the community,
or in your work, your community. So, just being able to guide the young boys, hopefully sometime in the future, young girls.
Yes.
That's something that we've been talking about, is obviously, with Real Men, Real Leaders, as we kind of, put together the infrastructure that's gonna basically take the program and take us to new heights. I think once we figure all of that out, which is a work in progress, we're definitely, interested in possibly starting a girls program too.
Yes, we're going to broach that idea. I'm going to meet with Women of Purpose next month, and along with a board member or two. And I don't know where that's going to go. I don't want to get the community hopes up, because the work that we do takes a lot of time and focus and strategy, and nothing would please me more than to help start a girls program, but it's going to take women in the community.
Yeah, and I will say, Real Men, Real Leaders is growing super fast.
Yeah.
I mean, just in the short time that I've been involved with Real Men, Real Leaders, I think that's why I kind of approached you at one point, about the social media and things like that. Just watching how fast it's growing, I knew that we needed to somehow help it catch up on the back end of things. The social media, whether it's the website, making having portals for donations, or where parents can fill out applications if you want to get involved with the program, if you want to donate, things like that. And so all of those things take a lot of work, a lot of planning, and so that's one thing that we're still refining. If you look at social media, I mean, it looks like we know what we're doing, and it looks like things are flowing real smooth. There are hiccups around there sometimes, but I will say that we've made a lot of progress just within the last few months.
Yep.
And obviously, thanks to a lot of the supporters, a lot of the companies, the individuals that donate their time and their money to Real Men, Real Leaders, all of that has been huge for Real Men, Real Leaders. Not only helping financially, and like I said, with your time, but also using those platforms to basically take Real Men, Real Leaders and to reach other organizations and other entities, which is kind of that's really what we're working on right now. The podcast, this is one of those things that is going to help us elevate. And one of the things that we're looking to do with the podcast is obviously interview some of the individuals that have already been a part of Real Men, Real Leaders, the boys that have been part of Real Men, Real Leaders, the alumni that have already made it to high school. At this last banquet, I think they gave away a couple of $1,000 scholarships.
Yeah, at our banquet.
At our banquet,
we have a scholarship fund for those students who may want to pursue higher ed.
Yeah, so all of those little things go a long way, and with the podcast, we want to highlight those individuals, those kids that have been successful so far. Some of the board members that are involved. We just want to put a light onto those individuals, because we feel it's important. We have a lot of people that are a huge part of Real Men, Real Leaders on the back end, and not to put them on a pedestal, but definitely
not at all.
Let it be known that we do have a lot of supporters, and that's one of the reasons why Real Men, Real Leaders has been as successful as it has.
And Edgar, and more importantly, is the students. Okay, we want to hear from the students. We want to hear about what's going on in their lives, their aspirations, what their dreams are, and if we can help just a little bit with that, man, then I think we truly are successful. And by the way, we accept, as long as your son is in 5th and 6th grade. Most of our students come from Bernardine Sitz and Charles Stones. We do have students from St. Mary's, St. Dominic, and Abe Hubert. So it is open to any boy in 5th or 6th grade. Okay, it doesn't matter where you're at as far as your educational, and talents, I guess I would say, to be quite honest. We want all sorts of boys because we create a team. We work as a team. There's no individuals when they join Real Men, Real Leaders. We teach that because in reality, that's how you get things done. I don't care if you're working on a committee or in the corporate world, and I used to be in the corporate world. It takes teams to get the work done. And that's what we try to teach our boys, just by coming together and being one team and supporting one another, despite what school they may go to.
Yeah, I will say, one of the things I'm looking forward to is interviewing some of the parents. I think that's gonna be really cool. I mean, I've experienced it myself with my son, being involved in Real Men, Real Leaders. Just seeing all of the things that they do. I thought, with Jonas and Tim being out there, it seemed like there was like a whole group of individuals that were, taking the kids here, there, but so it's just. Even with the small number of people that are involved with Real Men, Real Leaders, it's amazing how much is being done. But yeah, just hearing the stories from the parents, their experience with Real Men, Real Leaders, the way that it's affected their children positively, is going to, I definitely look forward to hearing those stories. And even the individuals that have, the kids have volunteered for individuals or during events, but, seeing how, what they think of the program and how it's, how it's helped them.
How it's helped them. That's what we want to hear. And we're also developing relationships with key organizations, both locally and on a state level, to help us be better at what we do. Okay. Because we have devised curriculum, but we need an outside review of that curriculum and make sure, we know it's working. We get a lot of verbal feedback. But I think we need to shore that up in itself and maybe add some things that are missing, maybe take some things out that we don't need.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, what we're trying to do at the end of the day is have these young boys make better decisions, become leaders, as Edgar said earlier, whether it's in their home, whether, in their community and in school. And as I said earlier, it's not a position, but it's just taking action. As little as taking the trash out for mom, doing the dishes, organizing your room, getting prepared for school the next day. That's what it's about. Okay, making your bed, is a big one. So that's what we're about. The boys do a ton of volunteering, as you mentioned earlier. Just the past year, they've done well over 1,800 hours of volunteer. As I said, we've had 200 boys plus already go through our program. So when they come back, our alumni we call on them. Many of them will come back and say, hey, yeah, I'd love to help. What do you need me to do?
Yeah.
So we can be at 2 or 3 places at any given time. So really, that's what our program's about. That's what this podcast is going to be about our youth, not so much the adults. Okay, because they get plenty of airtime.
Yeah, for sure. We want to make it as casual as possible. We don't want it to be a super crazy formal podcast. We want it to be, obviously with the kids being involved, it's going to be far from that. Being able to kind of come down to their level a little bit, and have conversations with the boys. And I'm sure they're going to be laughing sometimes and they're going to be shy, but it's definitely going to be fun. Just having them here in the studio, like I said before, and watching their reactions and seeing how they interact with each other and they cheer each other, on whenever I'm taking pictures with their suits on and everything, and you can hear the other boys, oh man, you're looking good, So, just being able to have the boys here on the podcast and using this platform again to as another extension of Real Men, Real Leaders, as another way of, getting us out there. If you're interested in, becoming a sponsor, we're going to offer sponsorship opportunities through the podcast. And we're kind of working out the kinks on that and making sure that we have everything figured out so that it's all a smooth process. We do have a donation portal through our website, and PayPal. And so, we're basically trying to put all the back end stuff together so that, we can make it easier for those of you that want to get involved, and just, helping us grow and expand in that way. But yeah, that's what this podcast is going to be about. It's, like I said, we look forward to having some of the guests. I think Jonas is going to be one of our...
Oh, absolutely. You'll be one of the first ones.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the first guests. It's really cool to get to know the person behind the van, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I will say that Real Men, Real Leaders, the logo has become pretty recognizable. When you see those vans driving around, that there's going to be about 30 kids coming out.
Yeah. And, we couldn't do this. I have a great board of directors. And Gabe Gallardo, our board president, our vice president is Josh Piera with Highway Patrol. By the way, Gabe is with Crockett and Company, real estate firm here in Garden City. We have Janet Kinnemer, who's a counselor at Bernadine Setz. Laura Walsh, who's a teacher at Charles Stone School. We have J.J. Gonzalez with the Sheriff's Department. Bob Arleano with the city, the electrical department. We have Wayne Steinmetz, who's with Landmark Bank. We have Donnie Huber, who has been a big fan of ours and contributor with Scooter's Coffee. And I hope I'm not missing anybody. Oh, I am. Jess Kondo with Empirical just joined the board. And Jason Haas, our golf superintendent out of Buffalo Dunes, golf pro at Buffalo Dunes. So we have a great board that is allowing us to do these types of things. They want to see us grow. They know that it's all for the boys and helping our young boys become hopefully successful as they get older. So I've got a great board. We've got a great staff. I want to mention Anthony Cruz as another one. Mm-hmm. Anthony Cruz, actually, me and him actually started the podcasting. Then, of course, Edgar jumped on board. So you may hear from Anthony as well. We'll get him on, get him interviewed as well. There's been just so many people within the community that's been very supportive. And by the way, if you're interested, you can go to our website at www.realmenrealleaders.org. There is a donate button. I'm hoping to have Edgar create a volunteer button on there, whether you care to help the organization or whether you need our group to volunteer. That's where you'll submit your information. That will come soon. Yep. So a lot of good things happening, man. Yeah. Edgar, I'm just happy as I'll get out about this podcast. You're right. I think it will help us with great exposure, take us to another level.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Again, sure. This is more about the youth than it is about the adult leadership.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, there's not youth leadership programs like ours, like I said earlier. And we want to help create that not only here, but across the state.
Yeah.
And with a few partners, and I won't mention them right now, I will at a later date, as we keep moving forward and solidifying that relationship, they'll be instrumental in helping us even get better at this youth leadership that we've started right here in Garden City, Kansas.
Yeah, and we've obviously talked about things that we want to try to bring to Real Men, Real Leaders, and we're hoping to have in the future maybe like a yearbook, kind of like the high school for the boys. We're even talking about maybe a magazine where we can, have articles and feature businesses like that. But yeah, it's just, it's been really awesome to be, involved even on the outskirts of the organization.
And now a little bit on the inside.
Yeah, a little bit on the inside now. But it's going to be great, having, everyone involved, that's been involved so far, on the podcast and, being able to use this platform to, like I said, again, help us elevate and just give us more exposure. And I think we're going to make this podcast available in most of the major platforms. We're looking at Spotify, maybe Apple, and I believe we're probably going to do a YouTube.
Yeah, we talked about doing a YouTube
podcast as
channel.
well.
I think we should.
Yeah, so that's just gonna help us grow, and the more we grow, the better Reynaldo and I are gonna be at speaking and making this more natural. And so it's today was an interesting day, but I'm glad we did this, and it's finally happened. This is the first official episode.
Yeah. We hope you stay tuned to future episodes. Please do. And like I say, if you care to donate, go to our website. Man, I couldn't be more happier than to be doing this with Edgar. Again, we want you to stay tuned to future episodes, and just thank you for tuning in at this time. Hope to see you next time.
Yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. As always, follow our Facebook page, Instagram, and we'll let you know of anything that's coming up in the future, but stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you next time.